behaviors. And I hope you guys enjoyed this article just as much as I did, because it really relates to what we do every day in our field. So let's just start off with some of the background of the study. Okay, so the study did take place in Providence, Rhode Island, around the time of November 2008 to August 2009. And the parents' role in their child's healthy behavior habits was basically what the researchers were looking for, or looking at what makes them have readiness to change. And I feel like working at the WIC office, we see this every day. We have to deal with a parent's readiness to change. Oh, is that Gwenna? I'm sorry. Something is popping up now.
You just have to tell her when you want the slides to go to the next slide, okay?
Okay. Gwenna, is that you?
Yes, it's up.
Okay, I rigged it a little bit, so it's going to be a little different. I rigged it for me to do it, but you can click it again. I got a little fancy, so sorry. All right, and I'm on the background of the study, so you can click 3 times till, yep. Yeah, okay, and that's good. So we're, like I said, the researchers were looking at a parent's role in the children's healthy habits. And this made me think about Live Strong for Life, what we're doing now here with the Healthy Habits Assessment. It really made me think about that a lot. So you can go on to the next slide, Gwenna. All right. And if someone in Region 1 could read the question and answer it.
David Villarick, I'll read it. The aim of this study was to identify parents who were actively making eating and physical activity changes for their overweight child and determine what factors were associated with readiness in each domain. And the answer to that is true. It's a true statement, A.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, so that is a true statement, and that was the main focus of this research. And like I said, again, we deal with this every day. So I just want to move on to some of the discussion topics, just so we can get to talking a little bit about it. And this goes to Region 1 as well. If you could read the discussion topic, and anybody in their region could discuss it. I know there's more people in Region 1.
I'll go again if you want me to.
No, let Troop do it. Troop.
Yeah, nobody answers.
Okay.
How do you determine a parent's readiness to change a child's eating or activity behaviors? Do we need to answer that too, or?
Yes, ma'am.
Typically, I just kind of, well, is that pertaining to what we do in clinic, or is that pertaining to the study?
Pertaining to us, how do you determine a parent's readiness when they're during your counseling sessions? How would you determine if a parent is ready to make any changes in terms of eating habits or physical activity changes?
I just ask the parent mainly, what do they want to do to change their lifestyle and their eating habits is usually what I ask them, and I determine mainly, their answers, if they want to really change their eating habits, like if they're eating a lot of fried foods, I try and tell them, it is, or I encourage them, it is important to, to fit more fruits and vegetables in their diets. And then also I pertain to like the child's weight and height and their or encouraged to change their eating habits, then I just encourage them to really change their eating habits. Is really, drink more water, eat more fruits and vegetables, be more active in their activity and behaviors.
Okay, thank you for that. Another thing is just going back to like I said, this reminded me of Strong for Life a lot. So you guys can't see, but I have the little healthy habits assessment. There's actually a question at the back that says, have you thought about trying new healthy habits for your child? So I take this into consideration a lot when I'm determining a parent's readiness to make changes, because it says not at all, just thinking about it, try to make healthy changes, or I've been making healthy changes. So to me, this is another good tool to kind of determine if a parent is ready to make those changes or if they just pretty much want to stay where they're at right now.
And also,
This is Erica and Upson.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to add to that, Region 1, that a lot of times if parents are asking a lot of questions, like, well, what do you suggest that I do? Or if they're asking me things to sound like they're trying to change, because a lot of times when parents don't want to change, they're not going to ask you any questions, and they're just going to look at you like, give me my vouchers, I'm ready to go home. But if the parent is really asking questions and asking you the things that you actually do with your children, or maybe some nutrition suggestions that you have, they seem like they're willing to change and they're ready to get more information on how to change their child's eating habits and some of their activities that they do.
I agree.
And I agree too.
Okay.
Wait, can I chime in too?
Yes, I was about to say, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I definitely reading their body language, their energy, their eye contact, how they respond to you, and also their confidence, just really looking at, do they have the confidence to carry out the goal and to make the changes? Those are some things. So, but most importantly, just their response and their eye level as well, just their energy, the whole intake.
I definitely agree with everything you guys said. So what we're going to do now is just kind of move on to the methods. So you can go on to the next slide, Gwenna. You just got to click one more time. All right. So this was a cross-sectional study, and they did use a pediatric obesity clinic at a children's hospital. They used surveys to assess the readiness for the parents to make these behavioral changes. And there were 202 parent-children dyads, and the ages was from 5 to 20. Now, these children were considered overweight or obese, and one thing that I found to be very interesting was they were referred by their physicians because they did have metabolic complications, and some were insulin resistance, abnormal glucose tolerance, type 2 diabetes, and things like that. So these were the people that were involved in the study. They did use some different independent variables, and one thing that I did like is how they kind of broke it down, and that's what we're going to do. That's what we're actually going to look at in question number 2, how they categorize the respondents in this research. So Gwenna, you can actually go to the next slide, and that's one of the questions that was addressed in the article. And this question is going to go to Region 3. So if you could read it and then answer it for me.
All right, this is Tina and Henry. What were the 5 stages of change used in the study to categorize respondents? Pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance.
And that's 100% correct. And Gwen, if you click a couple of times, it'll show all of them. Down to maintenance. So pre-contemplation just means that they were not really thinking about making any changes within the first 6 months. Contemplation was just that maybe they were thinking about making some changes within 6 months. Preparation meant that in the next 30 days they were thinking about making some changes. Action means they were actually doing something and making changes for about about a month to 6 months, but maintenance means that they have been maintaining the behavior for at least 6 months. And the way that they did try to assess if it was valid or not by using the basically like dietary the food dietary surveys, kind of like what we use. So they looked at sweet sugary drinks, like I said, all the things that we look at, how often they eat out, TV, how often they watch TV, and how often they are physically active. So they did look at some things to make sure that these categories were pretty valid when it came to the respondents. So we can go on to the next slide, and we can go into the discussion piece. And I'm going to stick with region 3 for the discussion. So you guys could read the question and just tell me how you feel about it in your everyday working experience at the WIC office.
Hi, this is Rachel from Henry. With the first discussion question, what stage of change would you place most of the parents that you see at your WIC clinic? In Henry, I only work mostly at Henry. I sometimes go to Buds, but these two regions, these two clinics, we don't see a lot of preparation or action or maintenance. More of them are pre-contemplation. They are first time here, or they're just not really knowledgeable about nutrition, or they don't really care. So that's what I would think for the first discussion question, that Henry or Bud usually I see as pre-contemplation.
Okay. And anybody that, if you worked at different WIC offices, like for instance, I actually worked in Philadelphia, and to me, the difference, I've seen a lot more action and maintenance here than I did in Philadelphia. I'm not sure if it has anything to do with the different demographics, but just from me coming from two different states, I have actually seen more action and maintenance than I have when I was working in Philadelphia. So that's just coming from the north to the south. Does anybody else have anything to say about that? All right, so we can move on to continue methods, the independent variables that they looked at. So they did want to look at the parents' perception of the child's weight and health. And like I said, we do this as well because I feel like that's very important in terms of your readiness to change. They also looked at the parents' own perception of their weight and health, and also whether the PCP, which is the child's doctor, was involved with strategies. So these things were just one thing that they wanted to look at in terms of what makes parents ready to change. Some other things is they also looked at demographics. So that goes into the third question. And this is going to go to Region 2. That would be Coweta or Fayette.
Okay. List the demographic information that was included in this study: parent and child age, BMI, race or ethnicity, education, and income.
And that is 100% correct. You just got to click one time, Gwen, and it'll all pop up. And that is 100% accurate. So they kind of wanted to look at the correlation between the demographics and readiness to change. So if you go on to the next discussion topic, and that'll be 2 clicks, Gwenna. Region 2, you can continue with the discussion question. And that will be Coweta, if you could, please. Oh, just one more click, Gwenna. Sorry.
Hi, this is Shawna.
Hi.
I feel demographic information is highly important in regards to stages to change. And I would even add environmental as well, because lots of times when people are trying to feel or they want to make changes, they find it hard to find ways to save money, which I'm grateful for the shopping matters class. They want to find ways to eat healthy but still be on a very strict budget or base their income. And education is highly important as well. A lot of people don't know about nutrition or what correlates something to like obesity or high blood pressure, all those types of things. So it's highly, highly important.
And I would agree. I think about if any of you guys were here in October when we did the Hunger Games, I think that brought reality to just how hard it can be sometimes for these people that are on strict budgets, or if you're in a rural area and you can't get to public transportation. So demographics can be very important in terms of just like their mindset and where they are, if they're ready to change, or if they're so weighed down by certain things that they can't even think about changing at the time. So thank you for that, LaShonda. Okay.
I'm sorry. I would add that when it comes to the demographics, some cultural groups have really distinct perceptions about weight, especially in childhood, and sometimes that needs to be directly addressed, because it's not that people can't go beyond what's the cultural norm. Sometimes you just have to think about it objectively and determine whether or not what is typically acceptable in your ethnic group is actually the best thing for your child's health.
I agree. That has a lot to do with it, because like you said, different cultures look at body weight in a different way. BMI is not something that's familiar to everybody in every culture, so I would agree with you 100%. And thank you for that. So we are going to move on to the results. And that will be just one click. Okay, so like I said, the children were overweight or obese, but the numbers were 94% of the children were placed in the obese category. 93.5% of the parents did recognize that their children were overweight or obese. This one really kind of not got to me, but put things in perspective. 31.4% felt that their children's health was excellent. So mind you, I did say previously that these children had metabolic complications like type 2 diabetes, abnormal glucose, but 31.4% still felt like their health was in excellent condition. And 28% of the parents did not perceive their child's weight to be a health problem at all. So we're going to go back to Region 1, and we're going to start with the discussion topic. And so, Glenna, that would be 2 clicks. And so anybody from Region 1. And that would be Villarica or Meriwether.
I'll start. This is Upson.
Oh, hi.
Hey. The first question says, what do you think about parents' perception about a child being overweight, obese, not being a concern or a health issue? A lot of my parents, the first thing they will say, oh, well, my child's just big boned. We have big boned people in my family. We're all thick. We're all big. Some people think it's okay. Some people say, oh, well, she's just a little chunky, but that's okay. They don't see it as a concern or health issue at all. They don't see an issue with them snacking all throughout the day, unhealthy snacks, having open access to the pantry, drinking juices and Hawaiian punches and fruit drinks and sodas and teas all day long. They don't see a concern or issue. They don't see a concern with their child playing video games all day, not going outside and being physically active. Not even, and sometimes I suggest maybe you all can dance during commercials, because that's what me and my son do. we dance during commercials or do jumping jacks or something during commercials, and even my dog chimes in as well. So they just don't see a concern at all with no physical activity, eating all day, and drinking unhealthy drinks all day.
And I'm right there with you. That's actually one of the suggestions that I give the parents, dancing in between commercial breaks. What kid does not love to dance? I mean, I know I have 2 children and they will party, and I think it's also a fun thing for parents to do to interact with their children. Like, all right, commercial break, get up, dance, move a little, get some blood flowing. So thank you so much. And it's funny that that's the same suggestion. Does anybody have anything to say about the dilemmas that they face during counseling because of the parents' perspective? Anybody else?
This is Alyssa in Carrollton. I think part of it too is that a lot of these diseases, the diabetes, the hypertension, the obesity, parents don't want to see it as a childhood, like it's not a concern as a child. They're adult diseases where people see them that way, and it's harder for parents to correlate that you're setting your child up for it now for the future. They have a hard time putting that together sometimes, or they don't want to put that together.
I agree. It's like they don't want to know that nothing is wrong with my child. Like they said 31.4%. They said excellent. I mean, good, okay, but they said excellent. And if your child has type 2 diabetes or any kind of why can't I say that word today? Metabolic complication, that's definitely a reason to be concerned. So thank you for that. So we are going to go. Oh, you can go ahead.
Add one thing. Another dilemma that you face is looking at different ethnic groups, because I'm touching back on what Dahlia said earlier. Certain groups will, say, hey, this is a norm for us. This is culturally acceptable. I was looking at Special on Oprah in one part of the world, one part of Africa, that they want the women, the more fat they have on, the more acceptable it is, and it drives the men crazy. So different norms, I think, when looking at different groups when they come into your office, how do you counsel them? How do you, really look at or really convey the fact to them that, this is not healthy, but when they go home to their culture and their inner circle, that this is how we live, this is what's acceptable, this is what our people want. So that's another dilemma you can face in your office, on a day-to-day basis.
Yes, it's a very sensitive topic, and I find that when you have to talk to somebody about their children, especially being overweight, but then, if you see the family history in front of you, I think it makes it that much more difficult because it's like, okay, did they already hear this before, or is this a family norm? Is it a cultural norm? So it's a very sensitive topic, and I have yet to feel 100% comfortable with bringing that topic up to parents. I mean, you have to, but it's something that you really kind of have to tread lightly with and read facial expressions like, is mom going to, curse me out or, something like that. But I just let them know, we just want what's best for the child. And I think if you put it that way, anybody wants their children to be healthy.
Hey, Shawna, it's Gwenna. I was just curious, do you use the BMI poster? And if you do you feel that helps with your discussion?
I do at times. I try to feel the parent out. Some parents might just have that I don't even want to hear it look on their face. Some parents, they do kind of take okay to it, but still in their eyes, what they see is perfection. So it's really where that parent is at that time. And even if you let them know that they're in the red is might where they want their child to be. I found a lot of times that parents might think their child is too skinny because they're normal weight. And I always try to explain to them, well, this is what healthy looks like. But a lot of times they will still go against you.
Is there anyone out there that consistently uses the BMI poster, and have you had success with it?
I've been using it a lot because I get a lot of people who don't perceive their child as overweight, or a lot of people who have normal weight children who are asking about Pediasure. And by normal weight, I mean like 70th percentile. They definitely don't need any Pediasure. And I've used the pictures to explain that just because we've gotten so used to seeing overweight children, maybe our perception of healthy weight is off. But even then, sometimes I don't know that it's sinking in.
I think it really has something to do, like David would say, with cultural perspective a lot too. Like, if it's in the family, it's a really hard trend to break. There's like, well, my great grandma, my grandma, my mom, me. So it really does depend on that family's perspective of what health looks like. People tell me all the time, girl, you need to eat, and I mean, it's something that sometimes you just go through. It really has a lot to do with sometimes cultural perspective. So I get a lot of flack in my family, but I'm just, naturally small. But fill her plate up, So it really I think it really just depends. So, but like, we're trying to make a change, and as I get to the end, we are making a change. So I'm excited. You can go to the next slide, Glenna. All right, and we are going to go to Region 2 for this question. So, Coweta, Fayette, Spalding, if you want to chime in. Or Coweta, if you would like to go again for us. I'm trying to... Well, I'm in Region 2, so if you guys would like, just so we can move on for time's sake, I'll read the question. With regard to helping their child eat a healthier diet, blank percent of parents were in this stage, blank percent of parents were in this stage, and blank percent of parents were in this stage. And if you click one more time, well, two more times, when it'll drop down the correct answer. So in regards to this study, 17.3% were in the contemplation stage, 21.3% were in the preparation stage, and 61.4% were in the action maintenance phase. And these numbers to me were very interesting, but I think it did have a lot to do with the fact that the primary care provider did recommend these parents to the study, so they were already pretty much involved and knew what was going on. So I guess that's why most of them were in the action and maintenance stage. If you click two more times for me, Glenna, we're going to just talk about physical activity. The numbers wasn't as high. Only 41% were in the pre-contemplation and contemplation stage. 18.3%, which was pretty similar to the eating habits, was in the preparation stage, and 40% was in the action maintenance phase. So they weren't not, their readiness to change was more so with healthy eating habits, more so than the physical activity. And I feel like we do see this in our offices, that parents will cut some of the, maybe eat more vegetables, drink more water, but they're not really ready to limit the screen time or increase the physical activity. So if you go to the next slide, Gwenna, I just want to talk about some of the correlations in this study. So there were two factors that was associated with parents being in the action and maintenance phase. And one of those factors was the provider discussion the provider discussion. I said that wrong. The provider discussing, that's a typo, of behavioral changes. So we noticed in the office that if the doctor doesn't really talk about it, the parents don't feel like it's not as important. And I will even ask the parents sometimes, what has the doctor said about your child's weight? Has the doctor had any concern? And the child can be over the 99th percentile. And I will hear, no, the doctor never said anything about it. And that's really an issue of concern, because they found that if the doctor discusses issues, or the provider discusses strategies to help, that the parents are more likely to be in the action or maintenance phase. But it was pretty unclear why the provider didn't have the same influence on physical activities. Another correlation was if parents felt themselves they were overweight, they were actually less likely to be in the action and maintenance phase. So I thought this, again, we see this if the parent is overweight, I'm overweight, my child, or maybe they think they're a healthy weight, my child is okay, so I'm okay. So again, they were less likely to be in the action phase. In regards to the physical activity, they were more likely to be in the action and maintenance category if they had a higher income. But if the children were older, like over 14, they were less likely to be in the action maintenance phase when it comes to physical activity. So if we go to the next slide, and this is the last question, and we are going to go to Region 3. Bother you guys one last time.
Hey Shawna, it's Carly and Lamar.
Carly.
B, false.
Yes, that is false. It was actually highly correlated with a child's ability to have similar changes. So if the parent felt good about losing weight, basically the article was saying if the parent felt good and they felt like they could lose weight, then they felt like they could kind of initiate that same behavior in their child, which I feel like is very true. So last but not least, our last discussion topic, if you click just 2 more times for me, Gwenna. And we can all kind of just go over this, anybody from any region. And it says parents that view their child as overweight are less likely to make physical activity changes, and families with higher incomes are more likely to make changes in terms of physical activity changes. What could be the reason for these correlations? And that could be anybody from any region. And this is in terms of physical activity.
Well, for the first point, looking at it, the article also looked at did the parents have failures in the past? Like maybe they were trying to be healthier, maybe they were trying to diet, increase their physical activity, and they failed, and that could increase the likelihood of them, really less likely to make those changes going forward. Past failures was one thing that I experienced here in the clinic when I talk to people. That's why I want to really restore their confidence in their ability to make the change as I talk to them. If you get engaged that they did have some past failures. But past failures is one thing that can cause, a roadblock going forward for the first point. And for the second point, of course, different demographics, higher income areas have more resources, more knowledge, and they use those to their advantage, especially incorporating a healthier lifestyle for themselves and their family.
I agree. Anybody else?
I would say for the second one with higher income too, like David said, if your family makes more money, you're likely to have access to more resources. So that could mean that there's a playground inside your subdivision and it's safe to go outside, versus other families, sometimes it would mean everybody getting into the car and driving somewhere for them to have some place to play outside. And I think that definitely plays a role.
I agree. I felt like this was a very good study, very valid to what we do on an everyday basis. To me, one of the strengths of the study is I just like how they broke everything down to the pre-contemplation, contemplation. It really helped me just to see parents' different perspectives of where they were at in terms of change when it came to their children's eating and physical activity behaviors. One weakness that I found is it was to me, not as broad of a study, because these children were referred to the study by physicians, and they already did have metabolic complications. So maybe these parents were already ready to change because they found out that their child had type 2 diabetes or, abnormal glucose, things like that. I would definitely be ready to make a huge change and sacrifice for my child if I felt like anything was wrong with them. So it had its ups and downs, but all in all, I felt it was a very good and valid study. I did want to leave with some ray of sunshine. So if you could click for me 2 times, Gwenna. I just want to give kind of like, I called it a snapshot of reality. In the U.S., childhood obesity rates have tripled over the past 3 years, over the past 3 decades, excuse me. In Georgia alone, the children rates are 18.5% are overweight of the children in Georgia, and 16.5% are obese. So if you combine that's over 30% of the children here being overweight and obese. But there is great news. There has been a decline in the obesity rates among 2 to 4-year-old children, which is great. And from low-income families, and this was between 2008 and 2011. And this really just was a ray of sunshine for me, because these are the people that we're targeting. These are the people that we talk to every day. And I would really like to think that, it's everybody out here in the field that's really talking to these parents. We see them very often, every 3 months. So the rates in Georgia fell from 14.8% to 13.2%. So that is that's a pretty big difference. Any amount of decline definitely counts. So we can make a difference. And I know sometimes what we do, it may seem like it goes in one ear and out the other, but it's just, to me, planting that seed. And so you plant the seed, maybe somebody else has to water it to make it grow, but as long as we're planting that seed, we can definitely make a difference. And if you click one more time for me, Gwenna, 2 more times, it expands, because we can make a difference. All right. Does anybody have any other questions, concerns about anything? All right. Well, I want to thank you guys so much. Sorry about all the technical difficulties, but when you're dealing with technology, that's some things we got to face from time to time. But if you click one more time for me, Gwenna, I just want to thank you guys for your participation, and I hope you have a great day.
Okay, Shawna, thank you very much. That was very good. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I wanted to, hold on, don't go yet. I wanted to discuss a couple of things real quick. Now, I sent an email out, I think it was maybe 2 days ago or before the weekend, about the cheese food packages and the non-cheese food packages. So moving forward, starting today, you can go ahead and just start asking the participants if they would rather have a cheese package or the milk package. You can give them that option, okay, starting today. The other thing I wanted to emphasize, and I'm glad this journal article was really good, and it flows nicely with what we're trying to do in our district and utilizing the Healthy Habits Assessment that's on back of the child questionnaire. Please make sure you're reviewing that. You don't have to review the whole thing. You can quickly glance at it. Just go over a couple of things. If you notice, how the tool is used, anything on the left might be a topic for y'all to discuss further. And then, of course, down on the bottom, you have the 4 components of what we're trying to do. And if they mark one of those, that might lead you into a possible goal. So really that's an excellent tool, and I encourage everyone to use that. In addition, I also encourage you to use the goal setting tool too. And of course, you're going to use your own judgment, but if it seems like a family that's maybe ready for some change, that would be a good way to get them involved. You're going to whip that goal setting sheet out and actually have them fill it in, give them the pen, and say, okay, well, let's set your goal. And they can, you go over it with them, and then they can take it with them. Just let them know that, oh, this is yours, you take it back, and we'll see how things are going the next time you come in. So I really encourage y'all to use that. Okay? Are there any questions about anything I just said? Please remember to fill out the evaluation form. Give it to, I don't know, however your region has it set up, but basically it should end up, the evaluation forms should end up with 1 or 2 people so that they can scan them and send them to me, if it's your regional RD or if it's your regional manager. But that's how those forms should be sent to me, like multiple ones scanned at one time and sent to me, not all individually. Okay?
Gwenna, didn't I send you the fillable form so we didn't have to scan it?
Oh, yeah, you did, and that's fine. If you have no issues of sending it to me, you know, some people want to do things privately, so that's why I was telling them they could print it and scan it. But if you have no issues giving it to me, what I'll end up doing is just giving them all to the one that led the journal article for that day.
Okie dokie.
Thanks, y'all. Y'all have a good day.
Thanks. You too.
Good job, Shawna.
Thank
You did
you.
a good job, Shawna.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good job, Shawna.
Hey,